And I'm very pleased that we have with us today Ian Dembinski, who's the head of Rathbone's Private Office. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a little sort of fireside chat around some of the themes that he's seeing in the industry from Rathbone's point of view. And he's also going to give you a view on the industry trends as well. So welcome, Ian, and thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now, women is an interesting segment. I mean, I don't know whether people are aware, but recent statistics from the US showed that women hold 60% of the wealth, and also they own 30% of privately held enterprises in America. And those privately held enterprises actually are quite significant because they employ something like 8 million Americans. So it's a big job creation exercise. What's the situation like in the UK for women? I think you mentioned, that it was a little bit difficult for women in the UK to get access to finance to grow their entrepreneurial businesses.
Yeah, I mean, this is not about political correctness. 54% of our 47 billion of assets are run by women, so it's an incredibly important part of our client segment. And what we see increasingly in the UK is that some 65% of all startups under the age of 35 are driven by women. Mm-hmm. Very often women don't necessarily want to spend 30 years moving their way up a large organization to get to seniority. They are naturally entrepreneurs and they naturally want to have flexibility in the way they run their lives. Mm-hmm. So women are firstly great creators of wealth, and you're seeing that particularly in the UK. Secondly, they are influencing decision-making within relationships far more than their parents' generation. Thirdly, they outlive men. And fourthly, they divorce men in some scale in London. So there's 4 really big clues as to why this is not political correctness, and this is why women are controlling wealth increasingly. So we at Rathbones are increasingly focusing on that. And just to give you an example of an event we ran, we worked with Accenture Ventures last week to host an event on female entrepreneurship with 5 amazing women talking about how they built their business, and then a panel discussion about how tough it is to raise capital for women. And one of the stats that came out is that no more than 4% of VC money goes to female founders. And indeed, we had another event where Dame Steve Shirley, and she called herself Steve, a remarkable woman who came over in the Second World War as part of the 10,000 Jewish children who were saved, and then set up her own software company. She called herself Steve because no one would take her call as a woman. So therefore, she changed from Stephanie to Steve. Now, obviously, things have moved on since then, but for us as a brand, it's incredibly important and not political correctness for us to see this major demographic shift as a huge opportunity.